The wildfire danger in Northern California could get worse today with gusty winds threatening to spread the flames. The 2020 fire season has already taken a disastrous toll on the state, burning a record 3.9 million acres. According to CAL FIRE, there's been over 8,000 wildfires since the beginning of the year. Sadly, 29 people have been killed by the flames and over 7,000 structures have been lost. CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist Jeff Berardelli is in New York City with some insights. Jeff, so what's the current situation right now along the West Coast?
Yeah, so the current situation is bad. I mean, the good news is the winds are not going to blow as strong as they were just a few days ago, but it is going to be a hot day. It is going to be a dry day, and we are going to see gusts to 40 miles an hour, which certainly can complicate matters. So looking at the map, look at how much California, this is California right there, is covered under fires. This fire is huge. That is the August complex fire, the largest fire that we've ever seen in California, at least in record keeping. But there are a lot of big complex fires all around California, and it's very dry. Now, you mentioned just a little bit of this as well, so I want to show you. Look at the 5-year average of what we're supposed to see. We've seen around 6,500 fires. That's more typical. But take a look at 2020 right here. We're way over 8,000 fires, and the number of acreage burned is 400,000. The average acreage burned, 4 million, The average acreage burned in a given year is about 700,000. So we're at 5 times the average, and we've eclipsed the record season, which happened just a couple of years ago. So this is a really bad year. It's unprecedented, really. It's one of the worst we've ever seen. And 5 of the 6 biggest fires that we've seen on record in California are burning right now. And look at the August complex fire. It is double the next closest, which was the one in 2018. The Mendocino complex. It's approaching a million acres. It could eclipse 1 million acres in itself. That's how big that fire is. And so looking across the West, the next couple of days, it's going to stay on the warm side, unfortunately. In fact, we're going to see plenty of record heat today, tomorrow, and probably lasting through the weekend, Vlad.
Jeff, explain to us what a heat dome is and the dangers it poses during wildfire season.
So we get these big heat ridges in the west, and a heat ridge is just a big mountain of warm air up through, not just the surface, but up through the atmosphere. And what that does is it kind of just stands still. It causes stalemate in the weather pattern. Nothing really moves, and other systems can't kind of penetrate in and bring rain or bring cool air. And so up and down the West Coast from Alaska all the way down through California, we have a heat wave, which is not only hot, that's bad, but it also dries out the atmosphere and it dries out the soil more. And we have air coming in from the Great Basin over here. So look at these high temperatures, 106 degrees today in Santa Rosa. And tomorrow we're going to see something fairly similar. Santa Rosa is 100, Chico's 102 degrees. About 30 records are possible just over the next 4 days or so across the West. And we have an ongoing drought. This is not only a short-term drought this year, but it's been going on for about 20 years, one of the worst we've seen in 1,200 years. Can you believe that? A mega drought is going on right now, and it encompasses most of the West, as you can see. We talked about the wind. So anytime you see these yellow colors appear on this map over the next 48 hours, that's a wind burst. It's not going to be windy the whole time, but for a few hours during the middle of the day, we'll see winds gust to 30 and 40 miles an hour. That's going to complicate firefighting efforts in the West.
Jeff, during the first presidential debate this week, President Trump was asked about the raging wildfires. Let's listen.
Every year, I get the call, California's burning, California's burning. If that was cleaned, if you had forest management, good forest management, you wouldn't be getting those calls.
What are the numbers on how much land, how much forest management is managed by the federal government, Jeff?
Yeah, 60%. So the federal government manages 60%. The state manages a very small part of California. So, yeah, of course you could manage forests better. That's not going to solve the problem, by the way, by any means. But the truth is the responsibility is borne at least in part, if not in full, almost in full, by the federal government. So that's one thing. But it doesn't really matter because even though it will contribute to some degree, climate change keeps on going. It keeps on getting drier. It keeps on getting warmer. And that explains a large part of the reason why we're seeing more and more acres burned. Temperatures have risen 3 to 4 degrees across California over the past few decades alone. And that is drying out the atmosphere and the soil. Every time we add an extra degree of climate change, Vlad, that increases the burned acreage exponentially. So each degree you add on top increases the amount of acceleration or the amount of extra burn by even more. So as it gets warmer, it gets even worse, not just doubly worse, but exponentially worse. So take a look at this. You can see the trend in temperatures over the past 40 years or so, upward, an increase of around 1.8 degrees in the west. And at the same time, look at how big these fires and this acreage burn is getting, with the record by far being this year, eclipsing every other year in the past. And you can see that it correlates well with this warming. The most warming that we're seeing in the United States is occurring along the West Coast. And so here are the connections between climate change and the fires that we're seeing burn. California season is 2 to 3 months longer than it used to be back in the 1970s. Since 1972, California burned area has increased by 5, and now it's looking like it's probably closer to 6 times. Think about that vast change just over the past 40, 50 years or so. And, at this point, it's probably closer to 18 or 19 of the 20 largest fires have burned since the year 2000. So, there's a lot of connections. A lot of scientists have studied this. There's a lot of papers on it. It is clear that climate change is increasing fires. So we can manage the forest all we want, and it will help to some degree. But if we don't manage climate change, there's not much we really can do.
And it's not just in California, Jeff. As you know, we have some new drone footage out of Argentina showing flames coming dangerously close to homes in the country's center. We're also seeing wildfires in Siberia. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so the fires in Argentina, temperatures are near 100 degrees. They're seeing a heat wave right now, and it's burning in dangerous areas. It's impacting homes. It's been going on for the past 10 days or so. In Siberia, we saw the worst fire season this summer that we've ever seen. We saw a heat wave that was unprecedented, that basically could not have happened if it weren't for human-caused climate change. You can see across the whole Arctic, which, by the way, is warming at 3 times the rate of the rest of the globe. Any of these reds that you see right here, those are air temperatures between 5 and 10 degrees Fahrenheit above where they should be. That's not right now. That's the whole summer. That's from April through August. So that's just how warm it is. That is almost impossible under normal natural conditions. It's driven by climate change. In addition, these are water temperatures around the Arctic Ocean, and that contributes as well. These water temperatures are about 5 to 7 to 8 degrees above where they should be. Those are water temperatures that high above normal. All indications that things are kind of flipping into a new regime in places like the Arctic and Siberia, where the fires are burning hotter. They're actually emitting more carbon dioxide at record levels. In fact, this year we saw 35% more carbon dioxide released than last year, and that is a feedback loop. The more carbon dioxide that's released from the burning of these fires, the more heat is trapped, the more fires burn, and so on and so forth. And by the way, it's happening in Brazil as well, in the Amazon rainforest. We're seeing a near record year just like last year.
Jeff, some climate scientists warn this year's unprecedented wildfires, the hurricanes, the other natural disasters will seem like good old days, and that it's going to get worse. How can we all help to curb and combat climate change?
Yeah, I often try to put that perspective on it, which is we think about this as the worst we've ever experienced. What we need to think about this is maybe the best we'll ever experience in the future. Not to say that next year and the year after is going to be as bad in California for fires, but over the course of time, it's just going to get worse and worse. These record seasons will be doubled and tripled across a lot of the world, not just in California. What can we do? Honestly, we have to vote. That's the answer. We have to vote. We have to turn a page in the United States. We have to stop denying climate change. 99% of climate scientists say that climate change is happening right now. The good news is we know what the problem is, and we now have the technology to solve it. Solar and wind, the prices have dropped tremendously. They're now on par, same prices if not less than gas and oil. And wind energy technician is the fastest growing job in America right now. Solar is third. So the point is that combating climate change doesn't only help the environment and our health, it also helps the economy by a long shot. So this is a win-win situation, but we just have to do the hard work. And we can solve it. That is the honest truth. I believe that. We have everything we need right now. We just need the willpower, and that requires voting in droves in November.
All right, Jeff Berardelli for us. Thank you so much, Jeff. As always, we appreciate it.
You're welcome.